Hey, I'm Ken. The next subject we're going to talk about is food. Now, in the prepper community, we do spend a lot of time talking about food. Food storage, sustainable food, how much food, how many calories. But one of the things I haven't heard many people talk about is what kind of food are you going to put in your pack? What kind of food do you have in your bob or your get home bag or whatever it is you call it? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about in this video. It's going to be a little bit long, but you know, I can't cover the whole subject without going long. Before we get started, there's a couple housekeeping things I'm going to take care of. Every product that you see here that I show you can be purchased on Walmart online. Okay, there's really nothing special that I'm going to show you that you can't access. Also, nothing here that I'm going to show you costs more than $1.50. Okay, so this is not an expensive adventure, except maybe buying certain items because like Mylar bags, because the amount that you have to buy. But even then, those are not expensive. When you break it down, after you get your Mylar bags and your oxygen absorbers, it comes out to be 25 cents a bag and oxygen absorber. So let's go ahead and get started. In my opinion, I think that the three ways that most people will feed themselves, or the easiest way to feed themselves while they're out in the field, is you can purchase surplus MREs. You can purchase dehydrated food such as ReadyWise, or you're going to bring your own food. That's just the way it's going to happen. So we're going to talk about each one of those things in a little bit of detail. The first one we'll talk about is surplus military MREs. Now, you can purchase these MREs on the internet. I'm going to tell you some facts, and I'll say them again as we go through it. An MRE, if you buy an MRE individually, it's going to cost you about $20, $20 bucks. If you buy a case of MREs, a case of 12, if I'm not mistaken, they will cost you $15 each. In each one of those MREs is about 1,250 calories. 1,250 calories. And each MRE weighs about 1.5 pounds, 1.5 pounds. The second item is dehydrated food, in this case, ReadyWise. It's a little bit different. Unlike the MRE in dehydrated meals that you can buy, all of the fluid has been extracted through the dehydration process or freeze-dried process, so it weighs less. So one meal is it's less than half a pound, okay? But there's a problem with the dehydrated food packages like ReadyWise, if you've never really paid any attention, is the calorie count. I have found that in some of the meals, you get as many as 700 calories, and in some of the meals, you only get 500 calories. Okay, so, and the weight varies depending on how many calories that you have in the meal, and so does the price. So, the more calories you get in the meal, the more the meal costs you. The less calories you get in the meal, the less it costs you. So what I've decided to do, talking about these dehydrated meals, is to take an average. So what we're going to say is, in ReadyWise meals, the average is they have about 600 calories in them, 600 pounds, 600 calories, and they cost about $7 each. That's the average. Okay, and there lies the problem. Because you're purchasing a freeze-dried meal, the freeze-drying process is very expensive. Even though the meal has a long shelf life, the process is very expensive. So the cost per calorie is extremely high. Okay, so you spend $8 on a meal that has 700 calories in it, and that's the issue. The third method of feeding yourself in the field is what I call a homemade MRE. Now that's kind of a misnomer because an MRE is a meal ready to eat. You don't have to do anything to it. You just open the package and eat. In the case what I'm talking about, it does take some preparation, not a whole lot. It specifically, the preparation requires water, but because I was in the military for a long time, I just call it a homemade MRE. So I'm going to start here with the contents of what I put together to make one of these homemade MREs. And the first thing you're going to need is 2 Mylar bags. Okay, 2. You're going to need one that is whole like this. That's what everything goes in. And then you're going to need another that you cut in half, and you have 2 smaller bags like this. Now there's a couple of things that I want you to know about these 2 smaller bags. First of all, it has to be large enough to fit all the items in it, plus the amount of water you need to rehydrate the meal. Okay, when I first started doing this, I made these packages small enough or just big enough to fit the item in there, and that was it. And then on my second try, I decided that I really didn't want to, use any pots or any kind of other containers to rehydrate my meal in. So I made the bag bigger so I can use it, pour the water in it, eat right out of the bag, and then the bag becomes trash or it has another use. The next thing that you're going to need along with these Mylar bags are 5 oxygen absorbers. 5 oxygen absorbers. You can use 6 if you want, but I use 5. So there you go. All right. Next, we're going to talk about what goes in the bag. And as I said earlier, each one of these items is less than $1.50. First thing we'll talk about is what I call the main meal. All right, the main meal is mostly made up of carbohydrates. The first thing I have here is a Knorr individual side. All right, a Knorr individual side. There are 450 calories in this bag right here. Okay, the next is mashed potatoes. Okay, mashed potatoes. In this bag, there are 440 calories in this bag. All right. Next, we have the ubiquitous ramen noodle. All right. In this bag, there are 380 calories. So for your main meal, you're going to need 2 of these items. Now, these aren't the only items, right? There's rice-a-roni, whatever it may be that you get, whatever your choice is, whatever you like, you're going to choose that whatever product it is that you like the best. You can even use parboiled rice. Parboiled rice also works well in these situations. But the main thing you want to be aiming at here is for your main meal, you want to be getting around 850 calories out of it. Okay? So, there we go. The next thing is protein. So, I have two examples here. Tuna, right? And then we have Spam single. And there's also chicken that I use. They come in individual packets like this. And there's also beef that come in this type of package, sealed in this type of package for a longer shelf life. The next thing I want to talk about is dehydrated peanut butter powder. Now, if you're a vegetarian or you don't eat pork, this is going to become your friend. Okay, actually, there's two items that will become your friend. This is one of them, all right? In this little container right here, you get 60 calories per serving. One serving is 2 teaspoons, right? So 60 calories. So for 2 teaspoons, that means for 4 teaspoons, you get 120 calories, which is pretty good. So if you like peanut butter, getting dehydrated peanut butter powder, this is a long shelf stable item, food item for you. The next item is dehydrated refried beans. You can use items like this, the dehydrated peanut butter powder and the dehydrated refried beans, to replace a lot of calories in your meal. All right? So those are not all of the items that go into the meals, but these are the main items. These are the main meal items that I put in my homemade MREs. This is where most of the calories are coming from. Okay? So when I begin building these homemade MREs, the first thing I do is I make the main meal, right? So this bag is 1/2 of a 1 gallon bag. And in this pack, I have 2 ramen noodles that have been crushed up to make them easier to pack. And because the ramen noodle does not contain as many calories as the potatoes or the noodles, I add 4 tablespoons of peanut butter powder in here, okay? And this little package right here is 880 calories. Now, how do you use this bag? Well, the principle here that I decided on was to use the principle used by thru hikers. Okay, so thru hikers are really concerned with weight, so they carry a lot of food that has been dehydrated and high calorie foods. So you want to eat food that's high calorie. And what they do is called cold soaking. Cold soaking. So what they'll do is they take this package, you would tear open the top, pour in the amount of water that you believe you need, all right? How much water you need comes with experience. And then you seal this package with duct tape or whatever, and then you put it in your pack, and you let it soak while you're walking around for the next 6 to 8 hours, okay? When you get there, this meal will be ready for you to eat. Now, it's going to be kind of soggy, or it might get mushy, right? But the one thing that this allows you to do is you're not required to start a fire at the end of the day, unless you just want to, okay? So that is called cold soaking. Another method you can do is once you get to where you're going and you do want to start a fire, then you can heat water and pour it inside this package, okay? And what I've done, using a label maker, but anything you choose will work, I've written on here what the meal is and how many cups of water I'm going to need in this package. So in your main meal, you want to try to get as close to 900 calories as you can, or at least 800. And so that's going to be 2 ramen noodles, or 2 Nor sides, or 2 rice-a-ronis, or 2 mashed potatoes, or whatever, how many cups it takes for you to get to 800 calories with parboiled rice. Parboiled rice will cold soak. It will cold soak. So you could put whatever amount of, how many cups of rice you need to get to 800 or 900 calories, and put in a bouillon cube with this, and it'll work for you. Okay, so that's the main meal. For breakfast, and a couple of the items that I didn't show you, all right, because it's pretty simple. In this package, I have, oops, wrong side out, apologize. I have oatmeal and chocolate, all right? 2 packages of instant oatmeal, and I also put 4 pieces of candy. In my case, I have 4 M&M minis, all right? So this pretty much works on the same process. You open the bag, take the contents out, right? And then you're gonna put the oatmeal in here, and then you pour in the amount of water that you want. And when it's has warmed up and completed soaking, you can go ahead and eat. In this bag right here is 680 calories. 2 individual oatmeal packs and 4 M&M minis equals 680 calories, okay? So the candy is for later in the day. You can eat it for lunch, or you can eat it as a snack, however you want to do it. But candy is a great way, it's a great pick-me-up when you hit the wall in the afternoon. It's a great little snack for lunch because you're getting a lot of calories in a small package, okay? Now, the one thing I want to mention before I go on is in this package, excuse me, in this package and in the main meal, there are oxygen absorbers, okay? So you put the items in the bag, or actually it would be turned this way because you cut the one large bag in half. You put the items that you want in the bag, and then you put in the breakfast meal, I only put 1 oxygen absorber, and in the main meal, I put 2 oxygen absorbers. Don't eat your oxygen absorber, don't soak it in water. Make sure you open these up and take them out before you eat them, okay? The next thing I have in the bag is what I call my ghee dump pouch, right? And believe it or not, there are still calories in this pouch, even though these are like health and comfort items. The first thing I have in here are things. To me, this is one thing, is a package of sugar. Then I have a non-dairy creamer. And then I have a tea bag. Now, I like my tea, when I drink hot tea, I like it with creamer and sugar. Okay, so to me, these are one item. Okay? The next thing I have is an individual coffee, instant coffee. Now, these have been this is freeze-dried coffee inside this bag. So, you know, it's going to last you a long time. Also in this pack is liquid IV. Now, bringing any type of flavored drink, whether it's like Kool-Aid or tea or one of these, making flavored water for you to enjoy during your day is a morale booster. However, when you use a liquid IV, it also gives you the benefit of helping you stay hydrated or rehydrating you as you're drinking your water. Like I said, you can choose whatever it is you want. You don't have to get this. But I would suggest that you take something with you. You choose something to make at least one flavored water a day so you're not ready to beat your head against a rock getting tired of drinking water, okay? The next thing in the item is, in the bag, is a bouillon cube, all right? Now, these things last forever. I have no idea if they ever go bad. But the reason I keep them in this bag is because of the smell. If you don't put a bouillon cube inside a bag by itself, then what you're going to find out is it's going to flavor everything else in the bag, and you're not going to enjoy it. Now, this little bouillon cube is not to flavor your food. It's for you to drink. Okay? You're going to make a cup of broth out of this bouillon cube. And I believe the most important thing that you're going to, in this little, you need that's coming out of this little bouillon cube is the amount of sodium it has in it. It has a high amount of sodium, and you're going to need that at the end of the day to replace the sodium you've sweated out. Okay, so salt is an issue. Okay, we don't think salt is an issue now. The docs and everybody talks about how you shouldn't eat a lot of salt and you shouldn't eat a lot of fat. That's because we sit around on our butts most of the day. If things go sideways, salt's an issue, okay? So drink your salt. The last thing I have in here is a multivitamin, because I want to make sure I get a multivitamin. And then I have 2 ibuprofen, okay? I would take these 2 ibuprofen in the evening, all right? That way when I'm sleeping, my body can relax, my muscles can relax, and I can actually get some sleep, okay? So that's what goes in my homemade MRE. So let's talk about it real quick. So you can purchase, it's going to cost you, they have 1,250 calories in them, okay? But to get enough calories for one day, you're going to have to purchase 2 of them. So the cost of purchasing 2 MREs is going to be between $30 and $40 for one day, okay? And on top of that, the meal weighs, or buying those 2 meals, it's going to add 3 pounds to your patty, okay? So not too much of a good option, but it is an option. If you buy the dehydrated meals, as you said earlier, we're just going to average out what they are, okay? The amount of calories in them and the cost of them. So saying that 600, each meal on average has 600 calories in it, and you want to create it for one day, you want to get at least 2,000 calories. That means you're going to have to buy 4 of those meals. 4 of those meals is going to cost at least $24. Okay, $24. And they weigh about 1.5 pounds on average for 4 of the meals. Okay, using the process I just showed you to make your own homemade MRE, you're going to average around 2,000 calories. It weighs 1.5 pounds, and it will cost you $10. Okay, and that's the benefit of making your own MRE. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack all this stuff back up, and then I'm going to show you how I pack it into the bag. All right, so here's the large bag, and this is the way I do it. You don't have to do it this way. I'm going to put the main meal and breakfast in the large bag first. Next, I'm going to put in the protein, kind of in between those two bags. Last but not least, I'm going to put in my V-milk bag. Once I have everything in the bag, I'll put in 2 oxygen absorbers, and then I'll seal this bag. Okay? So we're going to review real quick. The reason I decided to come up with making my own MRE, my homemade MRE, because what was available on the market was very expensive. You didn't get a lot of food, right? One meal, one ready-wise meal is 700 calories. I mean, come on. And you're paying $8 for it. That's just ridiculous. Or you can buy surplus military MREs. And, you know, hey, I ate them for a long time. They're okay. However, why do I want to spend all that money and then have to carry that weight? When I can make my own MRE, it only weighs 1.5 pounds. It costs $10. And I can get at least 2,000 calories into this bag, and it's going to last me all day. Saves space, saves money, and that's the purpose of this. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this, okay? I'm not saying what it is you put inside your pack, okay? I'm just saying this is what I do. I think this is the best option. This gives you the most food for the least amount of money, and it's shelf life stable. All right, so there you go. I hope you got some good knowledge out of here. I hope it gives you a kind of idea of what you would like to do, because I'm going to tell you, if you're out in the field, if you're stuck somewhere and you have to walk home, or you're you're using your bug out bag, whatever the case may be, for whatever reason you want to make these meals, if you don't have the proper amount of calories in your bag, life is going to suck, okay? You might get away with not eating very much on the first day, but on the second day, you're going to start feeling it. On the third day, you're going to be dragging ass, because you got to have fuel for the machine. And I think this is the best way to do it. Hope you have a blessed day.